All right, we're back and set up. First thing I want to do is definitely, one thing Charlie and I wanted to do is make sure we did education, and to me the most important thing with education is shop safety. So definitely, I'm getting old, so I wear reading glasses when I do small stuff, but they're good, but you can't always trust the material that reading glasses or any glasses are made of. Some are ANSI approved and OSHA approved for eye safety, but you don't take a chance. They sell really awesome safety glasses nowadays for old guys that you can actually slap on your old reading glasses, and then you can put these right over, and you get the best of both worlds. I've even seen some safety glasses have prescription reading glasses strengths on there. The other thing that's really important is dust mask. Probably equally important, obviously. You got to protect your lungs. So these have inserts, and you can pull them out. I used to use the disposable ones, and you kind of blow through them. So important thing, protect your lungs. I don't care what kind of wood it is. The more exotic the wood, the more dangerous it is. Red cedar, sawdust, people will develop an allergy to it, and they'll really sensitize to the dust. Plus, it's a carcinogen. So anytime you're woodworking, protect your lungs. Often I'll wear a full-blown respirator. Kind of depends. A lot of woodworking equipment is putting big chips off, so it's not a ton of sawdust like when you're hard planing or something like that. But that's when I still wear my mask. But if you're doing anything that has fine dust, you just up the grade, right? N95, the respirators that everybody was wearing during COVID, same thing. So protect yourself there. And then hearing protection. And bonus, when you got hearing protection, have it where you can crank some tunes, right, and jam out. So definitely protect your ears and your hearing, because the other thing that I do for dust protection is this big sucker. And it's a 4 inch, and it connects to a nice big shop vac system. And then you'll see I made a suction table. So I got holes in my workbench where I do a lot of sanding when I'm inside. And this thing just sucks massive air down through. And I'm not even getting exposed to any dust, I don't think, even though I'm wearing a mask. This is taking care of at least 80% of the dust that gets generated. So there's the safety tip, rather long. So, but important, super important. So we're gonna do this lure, and this is a peacock bass rendition. Southern Florida, we got peacock bass, and then obviously they're sought after, and there's a lot of people that are chasing these game fish. So starting to do a few of these in the 6 inch wood. If you're interested in any of my lures, one promotion is shiftcolorsbait.com, and you can order lures. And if you live local, I'm at different places where you can get them and save on shipping. So I got veterans discount on there and a couple other things. So that's my plug. I'm not sponsored by anybody, and any of the products I'm showing you, it's because I like using them and they work really well. So, all right, off we go. We're going to next clip that I'll merge in is doing some sanding and shaping these fins. All right, peace out. All right, I laid out a few things to kind of show you. After a lure gets built, I will go ahead and apply a fin to it. I'll use CA glue, and this one here is Inverness shad. It's I had a couple customers come up to me and ask, how come everybody paints silver shad, because the local ones we have here have red flares on their gill areas and on their tails. So I took their advice and kind of highlighted that in red, and then we'll do a dress hook on it with some flash on the back and make it look pretty. But it's got natural pear wood on the front, so the lips are all hand carved out and detailed, and same with the fins. So the template you see here is from a guy called Insane Custom Stencils. His name's Russ Allen, really nice fella, and he anyway I supporting his small business, went ahead and bought a fin template, and so you can do gills and fins, and I use that, and you can do different sizes. So check out his links and website. Real nice fella. Um, any which way, the beauty of doing your own fins is you can add characters. So this fin here is called spalted live oak, and that actually came from a log in the backyard. And what I do is I'll use two-sided tape and I'll glue together with the tape temporarily two pieces, and then I'll cut them out and then run them on a sander. And you can see there's a variety. There's some cedar there, some walnut. You can use different woods, add different character to the lures you're making, different shapes. And then after that, they get super glued on, CA glue, and I use a medium because it's a little more viscous and easier to set on there. And then after I glue them on, I go ahead and hand shape them. Sometimes I use a knife, but you run the risk of wrecking your lure, so I'll go ahead and use a sander with a Dremel, and yeah, sometimes you scuff them up. But here's my secret ingredient is Sally Hansen, hard as nails. The stuff's awesome. So if you're using KBS, or you're using epoxy, or you're using UV resin, doesn't matter. UV resin works pretty good for patching up some things, but it kind of gets globby, and then you got to sand it again. But that hard as nails is awesome top coat. And if you have a defect, here's an example, like in this lure. I don't know if I can get it dialed in close enough, but see that air bubble that happened? Some people get frustrated and they leave it. And again, it's quality of work. You want to do a good job, and you want to go ahead and make sure you even get the fine details. There was a furniture video I saw one time, and this fine furniture maker even climbed underneath dressers and would sand the bottom of the dressers, and no one really is ever going to see that. But that's the the ethics of a craftsman and someone who puts a lot of detail in their work. So yeah, kind of give some character to these. I'll go ahead and carve them out, and then I'm Scandinavian, half Norwegian, half Swedish, and there's a carving technique called flat plane carving, and kind of a little head nod to my heritage. But I try to put some bevels in there and some character to them, and that also gives off a good sound signature. And then the pear wood's got really pretty green, so you can see that. You can see that depending on the lighting. It's got some nice look. And pear wood, any fruit wood's super hard. So anyway, that's kind of the start of it. And they end up, when they're done coming out, I try to bring them right into the body and get them to where they're detailed. That's the magnificent Menhaden. This is why my nephew Charlie's got about 3 or 4 of them up there in his area, and he's gonna post some fishing videos and hopefully catching some big fat redfish up there. All right, well, I'll be back as soon as we get lined up here to do the same. All right, we're back at it. Dust collection's going on. So there's some areas that, and if you know anything about carving, you always gotta kind of take your time and feel out the grain, because the last thing you want to do is get a big defect because you hit the grain and then it chips. But yeah, I like to take some of those off. The next thing is I used to use the Dremel and do kind of the fin lines and everything in there, but I've been pretty awesomely impressed with the wood burner. I bought a wood burner tool, and it's just awesome. You set it up to 375 degrees, give or take, and then you can run some fin lines in there. Kind of depends the look you want to get. I don't want to take too much away from the spalted wood, because to me the spalted wood gives it the character anyway. But yeah, just like that. So pretty quick. That's as long as it takes, and then you can hit it with a little sandpaper there. And most of my lures, like the Menhaden one, I don't really even burn in them. I think the spalted gives it that character. Some of the cedar you just get straight red. So here's the cool part with this acrylic. And I get right down in. The beauty of this is it doesn't affect your clear coat any. It actually it blends in incredibly well no matter what you're using, like I said, for the top coat. So yep. Try to get in there, and then that CA glue has totally smeared in the bottom of this, adhering it to the, you'll actually never get it off. I don't worry about the fins coming off. And I don't like to put them on first and then clear coat. I guess you could do that if you really wanted to. To me, it's if you're gonna put them on, then you gotta mask them to paint around them and fool around like that, and it just gets, when you're trying to bang out a bunch of lures, it gets annoying. So anyway, there we go.